67 unmarked vessels cross into the Taiwan Strait at midnight. 0 transponders, 0 identification. China's Ghost Fleet vanishes from every radar screen. Then, 4 U.S. submarines emerge from the deep with a message Beijing will never forget. November 25, 2025, 11:47 p.m. local time. The East China Sea goes dark, not literally, but digitally. 67 cargo ships, fishing trawlers, and container vessels simultaneously shut off their automatic identification systems. Every single transponder goes silent within a 90-second window. These aren't ordinary civilian ships. Intelligence confirms these vessels departed from 3 separate Chinese military ports over the previous 72 hours. Each ship modified. Reinforced hulls, hidden weapon bays, communications equipment far beyond civilian specs. This is China's Ghost Fleet, and it's heading straight for Taiwan. The strategy is brilliant in its simplicity. Hide military assets inside civilian vessels. Flood the strait with targets. Overwhelm defensive systems. Force the U.S. and Taiwan to choose. Fire on what appears to be civilian ships and face international condemnation. Or hesitate and allow a massive amphibious support operation to succeed. Beijing calculated every angle, except one. The United States Navy doesn't play by surface rules. At exactly 12:03 a.m., 4 Los Angeles-class attack submarines already positioned in the Philippine Sea receive encrypted orders: USS Columbia, USS Key West, USS Oklahoma City, USS Olympia. Combined displacement of 28,000 tons. Each submarine carries 26 weapons: Mk-48 aid-cap torpedoes with 650-pound warheads, Tomahawk cruise missiles with 1,000-pound penetrators, and something Beijing's planners didn't account for: advanced sonar arrays capable of identifying ship signatures through hull vibration patterns. These systems can tell the difference between a genuine cargo hauler and a militarized fake, down to the specific engine type. The acoustic signature of a Chinese Type 054A frigate disguised as a container ship is as obvious as a marching band in a library. What's your weapon of choice in this scenario? Type A for submarine torpedoes. Type B for surface missile strikes. Drop your answer in the comments. The Ghost Fleet maintains perfect formation. 3 columns, 22 vessels in the lead group, 24 in the center, 21 trailing behind, speed holding at 12 knots, too slow for a merchant convoy rushing to port, too fast for fishing vessels. The formation itself reveals military training. Each ship maintains exactly 400 meters of separation. Textbook plan doctrine for amphibious support operations. U.S. intelligence identifies the cargo, not through satellite imaging. The ships ride too low in the water. Combined displacement suggests 15,000 tons of equipment per vessel. Do the math. That's over 1 million tons of military hardware disguised as commercial shipping, amphibious assault vehicles, mobile artillery systems, electronic warfare equipment, enough firepower to support a 50,000-man landing force. Taiwan's Ministry of Defense goes to DEFCON 2, equivalent at 12:47 a.m. Every air defense battery along the western coast activates. Tiankung 3 missiles, Skybow systems, Patriot batteries provided by the U.S. F-16V fighters scramble from Hualien Air Base. But there's a problem: international law. These vessels show no hostile intent, no weapons visible, no military markings. Firing first means Taiwan becomes the aggressor in the eyes of the international community. China's propaganda machine would have a field day. The Ghost Fleet counts on this hesitation. Every minute of delay brings them 300 meters closer to Taiwan's territorial waters. The 4 U.S. submarines split into hunter-killer pairs. Columbia and Key West take the northern approach. Oklahoma City and Olympia swing south. They don't surface. They don't announce their presence. They do something far more effective. At 1:15 a.m., all 4 submarines go active with their sonar. Massive acoustic pulses flood the strait. Every single vessel in the Ghost Fleet gets painted, tagged, identified. The message is clear. We see you. We know exactly what you are. And we're in position to end this. Chinese Naval Command makes a critical error. They order the Ghost Fleet to continue. Perhaps they believe the U.S. won't risk an international incident. Perhaps they think their sheer numbers provide protection. They're about to learn why the U.S. submarine fleet has maintained absolute dominance in undersea warfare for 50 consecutive years. USS Columbia fires first, not a torpedo. A Tomahawk cruise missile launched from a vertical tube while still submerged. The missile breaks the surface 200 meters ahead of the lead Chinese vessel. Doesn't detonate, doesn't strike anything. It circles, a demonstration of capability. The missile performs a complete loop around the Ghost Fleet's lead formation, Mach 0.7 at 50 feet altitude, then splashes harmlessly into the ocean. Every ship in the fleet just got buzzed by a weapon that could have destroyed any of them. The psychological impact is devastating. But China's fleet commander doesn't break. He orders the formation to tighten. Speed increases to 15 knots. They're making a run for it, trying to reach Taiwan's 12 nautical mile territorial limit before the U.S. can act with full legal authority. That's when the submarines reveal the true nature of American undersea warfare doctrine. What would you have done as the Chinese fleet commander at this moment? Turn back or push forward? Comment your strategy below. USS Key West rises to periscope depth directly in the path of the northern column. The submarine's sail breaks the surface. 33 feet of black steel emerging from the deep. A 7,000-ton barrier. The Chinese ships have exactly 2 choices: stop or collide with a nuclear submarine. The legal implications of ramming a U.S. military vessel are catastrophic. This isn't a fishing boat they can brush aside. This is an act of war. The northern column begins a slow turn to starboard, 22 vessels peeling off like a flock of birds. Southern approach. Oklahoma City and Olympia execute the same maneuver. Both submarines surface simultaneously, creating a wall of American steel. The southern column of 21 vessels grinds to a halt, engines reversing. Some ships nearly collide with each other in the confusion. The carefully orchestrated formation collapses into chaos. That leaves the center group, 24 vessels still pushing toward Taiwan. These ships carry the heaviest cargo. Intelligence intercepts confirm amphibious assault vehicles, Type 05 amphibious armored vehicles capable of carrying 20 troops each. That's 480 soldiers per ship, nearly 12,000 combat troops in this single column, plus artillery, plus supplies. This is the tip of the spear, and it's not stopping. USS Columbia launches a second Tomahawk. This one isn't a warning shot. The missile streaks across the water at 550 miles per hour, targets the lead vessel's bow, not to sink it, to disable it. The Tomahawk's 1,000-pound warhead detonates 50 feet in front of the ship. The explosion doesn't pierce the hull. Instead, the pressure wave slams into the reinforced bow like a liquid battering ram. The ship's forward momentum stops instantly. 10,000 tons of vessel going from 15 knots to 0 in 3 seconds. Everything not welded down goes flying. The ship lists 15 degrees to port. Engine room flooding, not from hull breach, but from internal pipe failures. The vessel is combat ineffective in under 30 seconds. The message could not be clearer. The U.S. can disable every single ship in this fleet without even using torpedoes. Beijing's Ghost Fleet strategy just hit an unstoppable counter-strategy: precision, surgical strikes, and the legal high ground. These submarines surfaced in international waters. They fired only after repeated warnings. Every action defensible under maritime law. China's carefully constructed plausible deniability evaporates. At 2:33 a.m., Chinese Naval Command orders a full retreat. All 67 vessels. The Ghost Fleet turns around, but the damage is already done. Every ship's acoustic signature is now in U.S. naval databases. Every hull modification photographed by submarine periscopes. Every communication frequency logged. China's secret weapon is secret no more. And the cost? 1 Chinese vessel damaged. 0 American casualties. 0 shots fired in anger. Just overwhelming technological superiority and tactical brilliance. If you're enjoying this deep dive into modern submarine warfare, take a moment to hit that subscribe button. This kind of analysis requires extensive research into naval tactics and real-world capabilities. But the story doesn't end with the retreat. The 4 submarines don't surface and celebrate. They follow. For the next 18 hours, all 4 U.S. submarines shadow the Ghost Fleet back to Chinese waters, maintaining sonar contact, logging every movement, every course change, every communication burst. When the 67 vessels finally reach port, American intelligence knows the exact location of every staging area China intended to use for this operation. The submarines map every underwater approach route the Ghost Fleet attempted to exploit. That's 340 miles of seafloor terrain now in U.S. naval charts, detailed down to the meter. The intelligence windfall is staggering. U.S. naval intelligence identifies 14 previously unknown Chinese military installations disguised as civilian ports. Photo reconnaissance captures modified vessel designs. Close-range sonar reveals the acoustic signatures of new Chinese propulsion systems. This single operation provides more actionable intelligence than 6 months of satellite surveillance. And Beijing doesn't even know the full extent of what was compromised. The Ghost Fleet was supposed to be invisible. Instead, it became a massive intelligence gift to the U.S. Navy. Taiwan's response is immediate and comprehensive. Within 72 hours, the Ministry of Defense announces new rules of engagement. Any vessel entering the strait with disabled transponders will be considered hostile. No exceptions. The U.S. backs this with a public statement. The 7th Fleet will maintain permanent submarine presence in the Philippine Sea. Not a threat. A promise. China's maritime gray zone tactics just became exponentially more dangerous to execute. The economic impact hits China within a week. International shipping insurers increase premiums for vessels operating near Chinese military ports by 300%. Lloyd's of London specifically cites the Ghost Fleet incident. Maritime law experts worldwide condemn the use of civilian vessel disguises for military operations. It's not just a violation of international norms. It puts every legitimate cargo ship at risk. If military vessels can hide as civilian ships, then civilian ships become legitimate military targets. The entire global shipping industry pushes back against Beijing's tactics. But here's what makes this operation truly devastating for China's strategic plans. The Ghost Fleet was supposed to test U.S. resolve, to probe response times, to identify gaps in American defensive coverage. Instead, it revealed China's entire approach to amphibious warfare. U.S. Pacific Command now knows exactly how Beijing plans to move troops across the strait. The element of surprise is gone, and surprise is everything in amphibious operations. Without it, Taiwan's defenders get precious time to prepare, time to mobilize, time to position forces. China's planners just lost their most valuable asset. Don't miss what comes next in our coverage of Pacific naval operations. Make sure you're subscribed so you never miss an analysis like this. Military analysts spend weeks dissecting the submarine tactics. The decision to surface instead of remaining hidden generates intense debate. Some argue it exposed submarine positions unnecessarily, but the counterargument wins. By surfacing, the U.S. demonstrated capability without escalating to lethal force. It showed restraint combined with overwhelming power. That combination is far more intimidating than simply sinking ships. China now knows the U.S. can see everything, can strike anything, but chooses precision over destruction. That's the mark of a military that doesn't need to prove its lethality. It's already established. The 4 submarines returned to Pearl Harbor 11 days after the operation. No fanfare, no public ceremony. But within the submarine community, this operation becomes legendary. Not for kills, for control, for turning an enemy's strength into their greatest weakness. The Ghost Fleet was designed to create confusion. The submarines created clarity. 67 vessels, 4 submarines, zero ambiguity about who controls these waters. Beijing's propaganda machine tries to spin the incident, claims the ships were legitimate civilian vessels harassed by aggressive U.S. military action. But the evidence is overwhelming. Satellite photos show the vessels departing from military ports. Signal intelligence proves military communications, and the hull modifications are obvious to every maritime expert who examines the images. China's denial falls flat. Even their own military analysts privately acknowledge the operation was a disaster. The strategic implications ripple across the entire Pacific theater. South Korea increases its submarine fleet budget by $4 billion. Japan announces plans for 6 additional submarines over the next decade. Australia accelerates its nuclear submarine program. The message is universal. Undersea warfare capabilities just became the primary deterrent in the Pacific. Surface fleets are powerful. Air power is essential. But submarines are the ultimate trump card, and the U.S. just reminded everyone why. Support the channel by giving this video a thumbs up if you found this tactical breakdown valuable. Your engagement helps us continue producing detailed military analysis. Taiwan's submarine program receives immediate attention. The island nation has 8 submarines. Most are decades old. But now there's urgent pressure to modernize. The U.S. signals willingness to provide technical assistance, not nuclear submarines. International treaties complicate that. But diesel-electric submarines with advanced sonar and anti-ship capabilities, enough to make any future Ghost Fleet think twice before entering the strait. China's Naval Command conducts a massive internal review. 14 officers receive official reprimands. The Ghost Fleet commander is relieved of duty, not for the retreat, for the failure to anticipate U.S. submarine tactics. Beijing's military leadership learns a hard lesson. Quantity doesn't overcome quality when the quality gap is this massive. 67 ships couldn't counter 4 submarines. That ratio is devastating to Chinese military planning. Every scenario that relied on overwhelming numbers needs revision. The Ghost Fleet incident marks a turning point, not in starting a war, but in preventing one. China now understands the cost of miscalculation. Taiwan gains confidence in its defensive partnerships, and the U.S. proves its commitment without firing a shot in anger. That's strategic victory. Achieving objectives through presence and capability rather than destruction. The submarines didn't sink the Ghost Fleet. They didn't need to. They just had to show up and be ready. Sometimes that's all it takes. Was this outcome a tactical masterpiece or a dangerous escalation? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And what do you think China's next move will be? Will they abandon maritime gray zone tactics or double down with new strategies? This is why freedom of navigation matters. This is why technological superiority matters. This is why training matters. 4 submarine crews. Years of preparation. Thousands of hours in simulators. Endless drills. all for one operation that lasted less than 3 hours of active engagement. But those 3 hours changed the strategic calculus across the entire Pacific. That's the return on investment for military excellence. If you made it this far, you're the core of our community. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and share this with anyone who wants to understand modern naval warfare. The comments are open. Tell us what you think. What tactics would you have used? What should Taiwan do next? What's China's likely response? Your insights matter. This channel exists because of viewers like you who engage with the content and keep the conversation going. Ring that notification bell. More analysis coming soon. Because the Pacific Theater never sleeps, and neither do we.